Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, sees a couple of things or whatever's in the cinema. Spoiler alert, it's a bit of a lean week this week. Excuse me, rates them out of 5, stays at home, watches things on our sofas, rates them out of 5, puts them up against each other and sees where has the money been better spent this week. Was it worth it leaving the sanctity of our houses to go to the cinema? My name is Tosin and I am the host, based up in a place called Bromsgrove in the middle of the United Kingdom. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight, a little island off the south coast of the United Kingdom, is Sharon Bolland.
Hello.
Hi, Sharon. Now, if you've listened to us before, you know that every once in a while we have one of these chaotic shows where we start off with one person, then at some point it becomes 2 people, then 3, and then 4. And that's what we're expecting to happen today, as we're expecting at some point Sean is going to burst in and be like, hi guys, yeah, sorry, and start telling a story about how, a badger ran out in front of a minibus or something like that, because that is what Sean's life is like. These things happen to him. Yes.
The Isle of Wight at the moment is a one-way system, basically, because there's major roadworks on one of the main arterial routes.
Oh, yeah?
In the island. There are one-way routes that sort of snake all the way around the island, basically. So if he's in one of those, he could be some time.
I thought you were about to say that it was it was a one-way system because the Isle of Wight festival was back. And I was thinking that's a couple of weeks yet, isn't it?
Yeah, they do put those in place early, but not this early.
All right, okay, cool. So with that being said, what we usually do is we usually start off in cinema and we go, but I think between the 4 of us, we have seen one film in the cinema this week because it is a bit of a lean week. I mean, I was trying to see The Wedding Banquet last night, but stuff got in the way. So with the one film that we have seen is Final Destination Bloodlines, and that is Sean who's seen it. So instead of starting off in cinema as we usually do, I think this week we're going to start off at home because there's one thing that we've seen. Well, there's more we've seen, but we like to put, if there's one thing in cinema, we like to put up against one thing that we've seen at home. And that one thing has been seen by you, Sharon. Isn't it? So would you like to explain to us what this one thing is, how you came to see it, and then just roll on free will right on into your review of the one thing that we've seen at home on Netflix and Friends?
Yeah, this is on Netflix. It's actually, I've seen a Spanish drama called El Jardinero, or The Gardener.
Yep.
And I think it's because obviously we were talking about this, the curse of the algorithm. No one understands it. Algorithms are weird. And especially on Netflix, you get stuff like, you'd like to watch this. It's like, no, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't want to watch that. But every now and then it comes up with something I actually would.
Yep.
And because I like to watch programs not in the English language, I end up getting sent all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, because I watched an Argentinian program a couple of weeks back, suddenly I'm getting a lot of Spanish language. Yes. So I'm starting to get a lot of Spanish language stuff. And I like Scandinavian drama, so I get a lot of stuff, sort of Scandi dramas. But this in particular one is a Spanish drama that just sort of put on my, you might like this. And I thought, you're right, I might. So I give it a go.
All right, cool. Yeah, the algorithm, it's only getting smarter, Sharon. It's only getting smarter. All right, cool. So let's kick off and tell us about El Jardinero.
Yes, this is I'm trying to think if it's I think it's a 6-parter. But yes, a Spanish drama. The gardener in question is a young man who, as a child, had a car accident with his mother. His mother is a retired, very glamorous soap actress who had a career in South America and has sort of relocated to Spain. And during this accident, she was left severely wounded, and he was left with a brain injury that basically means he cannot feel emotion.
Okay.
And they have sort of set up this thing, and he's passionate. He has these sort of obsessions, and he's passionate about plants and about the garden. And the story emerges how it came about, but it turns out that this mother and son are assassins. And the son...
I'm sorry.
I know. You never saw that coming, did you?
Did
not see that coming.
That totally just caught me out of the blue. That was just kind of
yeah. That's not expected.
If this show carries on in the sun, I think I might love this show. That's hilarious. I'm sorry.
But it is played straight.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically,
yeah, yeah.
he used his knowledge of plants to create like this deadly poisonous serum, and he and his mother, well, his mother's like the handler. She deals with the clients, and he just does the murders. He basically they identify a target. He watches them, and he uses this deadly serum basically to walk up to people. He's very innocuous looking, and then just inject them.
Yeah.
And then when they collapse dead, he then drags them into his gardener's van. He takes them back to their nursery and he buries them in the nursery. And it's a fact that apparently the human body is a very good fertilizer.
Oh yeah,
And so
yeah.
as it
That
breaks
much I
down, it
know.
sort of like feeds into these plants. And they're him and his mum. It's definitely sort of a bit of psycho vibes going on there.
Mm,
There's the vibes between the mother and son are definitely on the creepy scale, going
yeah.
into the red, I think.
Yep.
And so they have been given this target to identify. It turns out to be it's a a comely young woman
Yep.
who takes his fancy, as it were, and so he develops his relationship with the target, and then things start to unravel between him and his mother and their sort of career path, as it were. And thrown into the mix of this, some people are beginning to notice that there's a pattern in some of these missing people inquiries.
Yeah.
That in a certain area, there's sort of these, they're not connected to any way, but it's just really weird that you're getting all these missing people where they disappear without any trace at all. Nothing is found.
Yeah.
And so you've got a couple of police officers from the missing people's unit are just investigating. So you've got these different strands. You've got the murderous gardener, his, completely out of her tree mother,
Yep.
and then you've got the two police officers who are investigating.
Yep. Oh,
It's
oh,
there.
okay. Okay. So that's the setup. That's the setup. Apart from the sort of blindsiding, sort of like spit your tea out revelation kind of thing. So what did you think about this? What do you think about the show?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Actually, it reminded me in some ways. I've never actually seen them, but in some of these soap operas, you do hear about sort of Latin American type soap operas. So
Yes,
it's
the
really full of emotion,
telenovelas.
it's really
Yeah,
heightened. Um,
telenovelas.
Other
Yes.
than that, reminded me of that really sort of heightened, sort of completely out of her tree. Though she doesn't overact, but you look at her and think you're completely,
No, to be honest
you're
with
not
you,
right.
to be honest with you, that plot twist is straight out of a telenovela.
Yeah.
It really, the only thing
So there's
missing is a
elements of that,
twin.
but they've played it straight. So it's like melodrama, but played completely straight.
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a curiosity. I found the two police officers completely unconvincing, and there's a sort of relationship between them I found completely unconvincing. There's certain elements I really enjoyed. I thought the twist about it. There's a few twists and turns. I thought, well, that's interesting. So I thought I enjoyed it. I can't regard it as being high art, because it was entertaining. It was entertaining for what it was.
yeah,
So I'd give it a 3 because I thought it basically delivered. It was like a crime drama with this complete twist to it. It's like, yeah, I just thought there's enough interesting things about it to make it work. Me keep coming back to it.
yeah.
Uh, but yes, it's a nuts premise. It's a completely nuts premise. Oh yeah, so it
Yeah,
shouldn't work. I thought it was actually quite effective, and I enjoyed it. But I couldn't really give more than 3. But yeah, it's certainly worth checking out.
it's a bit Sweeney Todd esque almost the way you talk about it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, well, but let me. But okay, so this is an interesting thing you just sort of said about finding the police officers totally unconvincing. So, do you ever find it like because I find this sometimes like when you're watching something in a language that you don't speak, when you're watching something in a language that you don't speak, do you ever find it difficult to gauge what the performances are like? It's like, is that good? Is that bad? Is that the way it would
yeah,
work in that language, or is this just me looking at it and going, well, in English that looks totally over the top, but for
yeah.
Spanish that might be fine.
Because you don't know whether some people are quite deadpan or
Hmm.
whether some languages lend themselves to being looking quite deadpan when there's much more animation in the speech rather than
Yeah,
in the face and the body language.
yeah,
So yeah, that can be an interesting one because I find the Scandinavian ones I really like because to me the body language and the facial expressions and things are just they're just like Northern European, they're just British.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah. They're all very internal,
with
all very
a
internal.
different language, yeah. It's you can understand, so I don't need to have to worry about what I don't have to read between the lines. It's all there for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the subtitles is just a bonus because I can already work out what's going on, the dynamics. Whereas maybe the sort of Southern European or the sort of the more Latin sort of based languages,
Yep, yep,
I
yep.
don't have those sort of visual clues as much.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm watching them and they speak quite fast. And so I'm
Yes.
thinking there's a lot of that maybe sort of makes the faces look less expressive. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are some sort of visual clues that you miss because thinking you are it's a completely different culture and a different language and a different way of your
Yeah.
body holding your body.
Yeah, I found
It's
that because
interesting.
because with obviously with being Nigerian, we have one of the most prolific film industries in the world, Nollywood. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's prolific.
Yeah,
and,
I've seen a
and
couple and I've thought,
yeah, I know. And a lot of times, right? There's a lot of times when I've looked at it and I've gone, okay, cool. Am I just watching this and am I just trying to use a British framework to judge whether this Nigerian thing is good? Is that fair? And then sometimes I look at it and I go, no, no, that's just bad. That's just bad in anything. But there's some things that I know, like for instance, if people are speaking something like Yoruba, which is a very expressive language, there's like actions and stuff that you would do that if you just sort of translated that and tried to put it into like an English language, I don't know, put it into I don't Luther or the Bill, even though that's not on anymore.
yeah,
It would just be like, what the heck is wrong with that person? That doesn't work. And so I feel like sometimes language does do something to it. But anyway, that's random. What's the word I'm looking for? Random rabbit trail that I just sort of went off on. Right, so we obviously we were just before we hit record, we were talking about our YouTube channel, and on our YouTube channel we have like we started putting shorts up there of things that I pick out of our regular show that I think it's well, that's quite funny, or that's an interesting little thing. Let's see what other people think. Or sometimes I think a few of them are actually after we've stopped recording. Well, after the show has officially ended, and we're just talking, and I'm like, that's actually quite cool, and I put them up. And apart from we do speak about the correspondence that we get from there, even though recently we had, as you pointed out, we had like a comment on one of the videos that I don't know what it means. If anybody knows what GHHH means in internet speak or in common speak on a video, please let us know. But let me just put it this way. When I went onto the computer earlier today to look at that comment, YouTube asked me, "Would you like me to translate this into English?" Because because we're like, I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? The internet doesn't know what that means. So yeah. But for the first for this show, we have gotten our first ever voice note where somebody has sent us in a voice note to say this happened or what do you think? And so obviously I've listened to that. And this is a fan of the show, which actually showed up in a cameo in the show a couple of weeks ago. Superfan Nina. Her husband Will, sent something in, and I thought it would be interesting to see what your point of view on it was. So Sharon, tell me if you can hear this. I'm going to play Will's voice note now.
So, Tosin, me and Nina went to the cinema last night. I very rarely go to the cinema. It's like once every 6 months to a year. And we saw a film called The Grand Budapest Hotel. Don't know if you've heard about it. It's a Wes Anderson film. Anyway, we got there early and I watched 15 minutes of adverts and then the trailers. And the trailers were, Nina might be able to remember them here. There was one and it was about the Fantastic Four. And Nina goes, this is the third time they've made it. Then there was one about Jurassic Park, another remake. Then there was one about the Karate Kid, another remake. Then there was one about Lilo and Stitch, another remake. And there wasn't a single original film. And I feel sorry for the kids of this generation because they don't get any like new primary content. It's all a rehash of all the good stuff that we had growing up. And I think you should do a blog on it or a video on it on your channel. And I think you should address this and say that the state of the industry is shambolic. It's in dire straits, and it's just going to all go horribly wrong. Hope you guys are well and enjoying the hot weather.
A long stay. All right, cool. So that was Will. Doing, and I think we've got to that stage of life. Let's say you might hear it in Will's voice or in his tone or anything like that. Will is the kind of person who has been known to write a letter or two to express his views on something or on one thing or another. He's been known to write letters. That's the kind of character Will is. So yeah, obviously he's talking about this and he's talking about everything's a remake, everything's a reboot, everything's a franchise. There's nothing new coming out. What are your thoughts on that, Sharon?
he has got a point, hasn't he? When you look at what Disney is producing, it's sort of
Yeah,
converting its animated films into live action.
yeah.
The franchises are just going on and on and on. For example, like the Jurassic Worlds, they
Mm-hmm.
keep sort of ending one sort of cast and then sort of like rebooting it with another lot, but it's
Yep.
still the same old chestnut, effectively, isn't it? It's like, oh, look, dinosaurs. So you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, he's definitely got a point, and sort of trying to sort of I don't know what the answer is or why it is, whether we're still in the aftermath of the writer's strike, so that
Mm-hmm.
that new material is still in being greenlit and then going into production and then going into that post-production. So I know that takes a while.
Yep.
So whether there's like a dip because of that and that we're still in that dip of the writing, that because it
Yeah.
was writing really, wasn't it?
Yep.
Um, but I but or whether it is just down to the sort of the mighty dollar, whether it is about financing, that people are the people who make the money or people who put up the money are not creative minds.
Yeah.
They're financiers. They're
That I think.
looking
I
at
think.
what makes money, and they're looking at what's more likely to be a guaranteed buck, something that's tried and tested, or something that's new and experimental or is or out there. So I think it's probably finance probably has a bigger bearing on it than the lack of writing
Yeah, that has been
and
a
inspiration.
long standing problem with Hollywood. It's been a long time. Anyway, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is going to be one of those chaotic shows where people just pop in as the show goes along, and we now have a Sean with us. Sean,
Hello.
hello, Sean.
Sorry about the delay. They've done traffic, haven't they? They've sort of done a stupid one-way system where you can only get the cows to Newport because there's a big building estate, and you go all the way round Thorness Way now. So
Yep.
that was a bit mad.
Just as Sharon predicted.
Is that what you said, Sharon? Is that what you said?
I said you're probably driving halfway around the Isle of Wight on the diversion. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like a
yeah,
one-way system, and it's
she's
like
so
you can
smart,
do
that
it.
girl, isn't she? She's so smart.
Okay, cool. So, Sean, what we're discussing is, I'll play it again for you. But superfan Nina, she went to the cinema with her husband, and her husband felt so incensed about something that he sent me a voice note. So we've had like people writing things on the internet and everything like that. This time around, we actually have a voice note. So I'll play this again for you. Sharon's already heard, and that's what Sharon was just talking about. But I'll play it again for you now.
So, Tosin, me and Nina went to the cinema last night. I very rarely go to the cinema. It's like once every 6 months to a year. And we saw a film called The Grand Budapest Hotel. Don't know if you've heard about it. It's a Wes Anderson film. Anyway, we got there early and I watched 15 minutes of adverts and then the trailers. And the trailers were, Nina might be able to remember them here. There was one and it was about the Fantastic Four, and Nina goes, "This is the third time they've made it." Then there was one about Jurassic Park, another remake. Then there was one about the Karate Kid, another remake. Then there was one about Lilo and Stitch, another remake. And there wasn't a single original film. And I feel sorry for the kids of this generation because they don't get any like new primary content. It's all a rehash of all the good stuff that we had growing up. And I think you should do a blog on it or a video on it on your channel. And I think you should address this and say that the state of the industry is shambolic. It's in dire straits, and it's just going to all go horribly wrong. Hope you guys are well and enjoying the hot weather.
Yep. So that was Will. Sean, what do you think?
That was a really, really nice voice note. Well, coming in on the end of the conversation there, I think I agree with Sharon what she said. It's about the money.
Yep.
It's a sure bet. It's a sure bet. And they think, well, if we can rehash these, same with the Star Wars stuff. I mean, really, you know, they are perhaps trying to play to the younger generation, that haven't seen the originals.
I actually don't. I think that they're playing to people like me. So they're playing to people like me, for instance, who grew up with, let's say, The Lion King, and then
Right.
I want to show it to my kids. And so I have the original and I have that at home. I have that already at home. I got it on DVD. They can't take that away from me. I've got it, and they're like, no, but if we want to make a whole bunch of money because he's bought that DVD how many 10 years ago, and he's not going to spend any more money. But if we want to make more money, if we make it again, he'll probably take his kids to go see that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, that's it, really. So, I went with Joe, and his daughter actually went to see the new Snow White movie, and
oh yeah. Oh, yeah, that's you see.
She's obviously seen the original, and she goes, "This is didn't happen. What's going on here?" You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
that's not, you know. And I could see her there looking really, really super confused.
but they
She'd
don't
seen
care.
this.
They got your money.
Yeah, that's it exactly. So, yeah, remakes. I don't know. Some are okay. I think Disney maybe with Snow White on a personal. I mean, not that I've seen that many, but I did see The Lion King. I thought that was pretty awful. I think I
Hmm.
seem to remember I probably reviewed him, and
Yep, yep, yep. I did not like that.
you know, Maleficent, hated Maleficent with a passion. That was absolutely diabolical.
But we
Um,
saw Aladdin. Did we see it?
we
We saw
saw
Aladdin
Aladdin,
together,
yeah, and I
didn't we?
think we had that with a bit of antipathy, didn't
Yeah.
we? It was we treated that
Some
like,
bits were good, some bits weren't so.
yeah. So, but I didn't mind the Snow White too much, so maybe.
Well, okay, it's one of these, okay, and I think one of you mentioned it. One of you mentioned it, and I think the key, the real offenders here, I think, are Disney. Because if you look at one of the biggest films this year, it's Sinners, and that is an original film. So there
Yeah.
is still space for this. There's is that's still space. That's a Warner Brothers movie. And I think it's because Disney just realized that they could print money because they had such a back catalog once they bought Marvel, once they bought Star Wars, once they
Yeah.
once they had
Yeah.
all. So even technically speaking, and this is one thing I was looking at. So they went to watch a reissue of the Grand Budapest Hotel in the cinema.
Yeah.
That is actually, I think that was originally a Fox film.
Mm.
Then Disney bought Fox, which means that
Oh, yeah.
so
They
Disney
got the
bought
rights to
Fox.
all those as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and all those films that they were talking about that they were releasing before, Lilo and Stitch, that's a Disney remake. Karate Kid Legends, I think that's going to be, I'm pretty sure that was originally a Fox thing, so it's probably a Disney thing. The Fantastic Four, that's Marvel, so that's Disney
Yeah.
as well. Jurassic Park, I think that's Universal. I don't think that's
Right.
Disney. So that's the only one that's out there. And I feel like if you look at the last couple of years, you look at the box office of these movies, and you look at the top 10 movies of the year, usually half of the top 10 are Disney properties. And
Mm.
they are either, I cannot remember the last time Disney released an original film. Because when you think about I can't remember the last time. I mean, Pixar. What was the last Pixar movie they released?
Wow. That's
Yeah,
it.
I can't remember. I can't remember because even they, because but what and this is something that happens whenever Disney takes over somebody. Like they just want you to go, okay, go out there and make more stuff of the stuff you did before. So
Mm.
Pixar used to make like they were all about original films. When Disney brought up with them, all of a sudden Disney were pushing them to make sequels because they knew that is a surefire buck. We're going to make 500,000 easy on this thing. So it is a money thing. It is a risk averse thing. And every now and then you have a studio that takes a swing like Warner Brothers does with Sinners and it hits big. It hits big. I mean, Sinners is big. It's not going to be anywhere near as big as what Disney are getting, like 1 billion. I think
Mm.
Sinners is not going to get to 1 billion, but it's going to be way more than people thought for an original film. And
It deserves it, doesn't it?
it totally deserves it. I think it totally deserves it. But it's one of those things where you have the whole thing of art versus business, where
Yeah.
it keeps coming up, art versus business. And it's like, and if the people, as Sharon said, who run these studios, they're sitting down there and they're thinking, well, we have a shop. What is our best seller? Chocolate bars. Are we going to say, no, we're not going to sell any more chocolate bars anymore because we want to try and do like an everlasting gobstopper. So we're going to put all our money to make an everlasting gobstoppers and forget about chocolate bars because
Mm.
people already had chocolate bars 5 years ago.
That's
And so
it.
from their point of view, and this is the bad thing, is that their system works.
Yeah.
Because when you re-release Aladdin, when everybody goes, oh, for goodness sake, it's nowhere near as good as the original, but it still makes
But
$1 billion.
you've
Yeah.
still gone there.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's
it
it.
still turns
That's
out.
it. That's what they're in for, the money. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
look, I
So
think if you look,
if people stopped watching them,
yeah,
they'll stop making them.
yeah. I mean, I think that what you're getting now, and I've noticed it more and more, is like some of the small independent film, e.g., The Surf or whatever, they're produced by about five or six
Yeah.
small companies. You see
Yeah.
all
Small
the,
studios, yeah.
so they must all put in a bit of money. But yeah, so it says in, like, I don't know what we got, like, I don't know, New Line in association with Bad Road or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? It's not a big,
Uh,
all these.
increasingly there'll be some Chinese money involved.
Yeah, yeah. Well. But
Yes.
yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say is that, but on Will's point though, there's still original stuff being made. It's
Yeah.
just that they're not having as big budgets, and they're not the kind of film that you will find with a massive trailer in front of a Disney property.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking even in the last couple of years, we've had things like Barbarian. That was very well received, but it was a smaller film. The guy who made that, Zach Kreger, he's making another film called Weapons, which is getting quite a bit of buzz. So there's things like what was it, Sting? I think especially if you look
Sting.
at Sting.
Late Night with the Devil, is that
Late
one?
Night with the Devil, yeah, Late Night with the Devil. That was a good one. That was one of Sean's. I feel like it's shot into one of Sean's top 20 films of all time, kind of thing.
And that's thanks to you, Toast. That's thanks to you.
Yeah,
But
You
yeah,
know.
picking up
I'm
on
but a
another one
humble,
of
I'm but a humble servant of cinema. Sorry, Sharon, what was that?
I'll just say, but picking up on another one of Will's points, he was like, there's this nostalgia element of it, and he's saying, what about the kids of today? What have they got that they
Yes.
can for themselves? And it's that thing that captures the imagination of a certain generation, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, and I don't know whether it's because of multimedia is so sort of broad church now that
Yeah.
there is like that one thing that all the like when I was a child, Star Wars was everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was the one thing though. It was like, and it's universal. Everyone was into it. And I'm not sure now whether the young people of today, whether they're children or sort of youth or young adults, whether there's that one thing that connects them. And but that takes you to the point though, is whether it's the chicken or the egg. Is it connected by this one big film? Like Star Wars was the film came first, then all the other stuff followed,
Yeah.
and then we all like got united around that. Or is it like the Harry Potters, where the books came first and they inspired the films, and the films took over and
Hmm.
became that sort of voice for their generation? So I don't know whether it's a lack of that cohesive thing, or whether that thing that creates the cohesion is missing.
This is my prediction. In 75 to 100 years, they will be doing animated versions of the Harry Potter movies.
Well, they're already doing a
They're
TV
reversing
series.
it. Yeah.
Oh, well, animated. Oh,
No,
really?
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
live action.
They're making a live action TV series of that. So they're already remaking Harry Potter, but this
Oh.
time as a TV series.
I
So
think, I think, I think with the Star Wars stuff, especially with the later ones, it's just a reboot of the New Hope. So the New Hope, the first Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah, yeah,
one,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
The
the
Force
one with
Awakens. The Force
where
Awakens
it
was essentially a remake
ends
of.
with the Mary Poppins character picking up the broomstick, and I'm like, come on, man, come on, man, come
You see,
on.
you see now that's a film that we have different opinions on, but
Yeah.
the Last Jedi. But I think we can all agree that the Rise of Skywalker was rubbish. So it was, but no, but it is an interesting thing that you say about kids because I look at kids and I look at a lot of the stuff that they're getting into now. It just seems to be things that people, well, because obviously now I look at my daughters and my daughters are like in nursery, they're nursery age, and I've seen what all the other kids are. And it does seem that Frozen is still big, even though that was like a couple
Yeah,
of years back. So Frozen is still
quite a
big.
long time ago now.
Nothing new thing has come up again. But even going back, your Snow Whites and your Princess Jasmines and with the Disney princess stuff, all that stuff is still big with kids who you're like, how the heck do you know about this?
Mm.
And it's and I have to say, because even though I think that the whole Disney remake machine is creatively bankrupt. I feel like they don't have an idea to rub together, quite frankly, because
They
I
must
feel
be
like
running out of one to redo, surely by
no, they
now.
haven't.
I t
They're
Are they
not.
not? Oh,
They're
crikey.
not.
Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, exactly. Fox. When you look at it, when you actually start breaking it down, there. Look, let's put it this way: there are 60
Oh yeah,
Disney
Robin Hood.
animated. Yeah, exactly. They haven't done Robin Hood. There's so much more they could continue plumbing.
Mm.
There's stuff that there's the Rescuers. There's Bassett, no, Basil the Great Rat
Aristocats.
Detective. They haven't done
Aristocats.
Aristocats. They haven't done
Lady in the
Aristocats.
Tramp.
Yeah, they have done Lady and the Tramp again, but that was only on Disney
Have they?
Plus. Yeah,
Oh right.
yeah.
Like,
So they've done all those things, but I have to admit, even though I think they are remaking Lilo and Stitch. And Lilo and Stitch is one that even before we started, I was watching a YouTube video of one of the songs from Lilo and Stitch, and my daughter is so up for going to see that, and I am so up for taking her because it looks like it's going to recreate some of the anarchic craziness of the first film. And I feel like because there was good stuff that was back then, they could re-release it in the cinemas or anything like that. But I feel like with Lilo and Stitch, more than with all the other ones, they seem to be recreating almost like the vibe of the first one. And also the fact was that Lilo and Stitch wasn't as big a hit when it first came out. It was only later on home video that it started growing, and now it's like giving it. And the only thing that I would say that's slightly redeeming is that because it's all about Hawaiian culture, it's all about Hawaiian culture and is giving a whole bunch of people a chance to have their day in the sun, even though it's being done through a big, massive American conglomerate. Um, there's arguments there about appropriation, but it's giving them a chance to come out in the sun that you don't usually get to see. So Lilo and Stitch, I'm kind of on board with, even though I expect to see the film and go, that was a bunch of crap.
What I think, what I mean, I've noticed that as well. They've started doing a lot of series and movies about games, haven't they? The games are big. Like, I mean, there's the Minecraft
games,
thing.
yeah,
Stuff.
yeah.
So games
It's
are starting to. That's not
yeah.
Disney, is it? Minecraft. No.
No, Minecraft wasn't Disney. Minecraft was,
No.
I think Minecraft was Universal. But
Right.
you have that, but they are all going for a video game and trying to find a big video game thing. So Minecraft making loads of money might be the biggest film this year. You had the Super Mario Brothers film a couple of years ago, similar thing. You've had like Fallout, which is based on a video game, which was
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime. It's a TV
Prime,
show,
yeah.
but so I think
Last of
obviously,
Us is still playing, isn't it, at the moment?
what was that?
Last of Us is a
The
film.
Last of Us, yep, The Last of
Last
Us
of Us.
on TV. So and Hollywood has always gone, okay, we can't write original stories. Go adapt that
Yeah.
book.
That's
Go
it.
adapt that thing.
That one, yeah.
Go get that Edgar Allan Poe poem. Make that into a film. And
And
now
of course,
video
there's
games.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
Sonic the
that
Hedgehog,
classic of
yes.
modern cinema.
So there's I think the funny thing about Sonic the Hedgehog, there's bits of the films that are classic. Maybe not the
Yeah.
films as a whole, but there's bits of them. There's a dance scene that Jim Carrey does with himself in the last Sonic the Hedgehog movie that is just kind of like brilliant madness. But I think there's a bit of it where I think that there's a bit of it where you can look at your own childhood and think your own childhood was better than anything that it is now. I think there's a bit of a nostalgia thing in there. But I also feel like it's what Hollywood has always done. It's what it's what Hollywood has always done. And at the end of the day, I think for me, I'm all about good films. So when you make numerous sequels and numerous remakes and they're bad, that for me is when I really start getting annoyed. But if you manage to make a remake and it's good and it says something different and it has shines, I'm like, still like, okay, that for me is a valid artistic expression, like the Jungle Book remake, which is still for me the high bar for Disney remakes. I thought that the new Jungle Book they did was actually really good, but apart from that, all the other ones have just been they've left me so cold.
I didn't mind Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was all right, but I was still like Beauty and the Beast was okay, but I watched the original recently and I thought, now that's magic. The original Beauty and the Beast is magic. The remake is okay. So it's like and
There
that
is a
that's
distinction, yeah.
yeah. And oh that's a problem. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now, and I will let you guys if you have any final things to say about Hollywood's morally no or creatively bankrupt
Yeah,
present and future.
I think it is. I mean, well, as I say, imagine way back when I used to go to the cinemas, I used to know the actors, the directors, the producers, all that sort of stuff. Now I just see films. I don't really know. Well, as you know from my knowledge, I don't really pay much attention to the actors, except the big
No.
ones that I know.
Is it Wyatt Russell or is it Jason Clarke?
Yeah, yeah, like the directors. I'm not someone says, oh yeah, except for the big ones. But what I'm saying is, years ago I could have named all the stars, but
Mm,
now all the actors. But I just go and watch the movies now. I
mm.
just go watch the movies. I'm not like, oh, that was
Into it.
directed by, you know,
I
whoever.
think as a cinema goer, I think our only response is to keep supporting the independents, the
Yeah,
lower budgets, so if someone who makes a smaller budget film has a success, then they might be bankrolled to make a bigger film with a bigger budget, and then they can use a bit more of their imagination, but they've got to prove themselves first, haven't they, that they are bankable. And I think if we can support those smaller films, even though sometimes you're thinking, we need a bit of work, but if we can support those creatives,
Yeah.
even if it's supporting these smaller films, then I think hopefully those people will then be able to produce more original material because they've got a bit of clout behind them.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that all our only response can be, I think.
Yeah,
Keep supporting
yeah.
the film industry, the creatives at the root level, at the sort of grassroots level.
As I say, my worry is that now they've shut the pool cinema, I am, I'm not going to be able to get to see quite so often
The smaller
because,
films.
independent ones, because
Yeah.
all they'll have is, like we're saying, they just have the main franchise ones like every hour on the screen, So shame, but never mind. Never mind. It'll make
Yeah.
more interesting for catching up later, perhaps.
Yes, yeah. I just think that if a film is bad, we need to shout it from the rooftops and stop people go seeing it.
Yeah,
Because then maybe they'll actually try and make good films as opposed to just go, they recognize that name, boom. So, right. And Will, that probably depressed you even more, but never mind. Never mind. I know it'll probably be another 5 years before you go back into the cinema, and hopefully, maybe then you get to see something original. But if you want something original, go see Sinners. I know it's still on. I know it's still on
Sinners
near
is
you.
great. Sinners is
Go
great.
see Sinners. Great original film.
Yeah.
Right. And now let us go on, finally, belatedly, going back to cinema. And we're going to go back to cinema and we are going to talk about Final Destination Bloodlines, which, Sean, you have seen.
I
So
have, yeah.
we've just finished talking
Just
about
seen.
remakes and sequels and reboots and everything
Sequels.
like that. This is a totally original film, right? Yeah, yeah.
Wow. It's to be honest with you, right, with the only Final Destination things, I think I'm not like invested in it at all. I think I remember I saw a 3D one, and the only ones I can remember was a car race thing with a big tire and some sort of
Oh yeah, the car, the traffic car.
and then and some needles. Anyway, let's get on to this one. So this one, Bloodlines, it's from all the ones before. There's some people that have cheated because some people have cheated death, but
Yes.
So they're slowly going through the families. Yeah, they're slowly going through the families. It was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. I thought it was. I was totally amazed by what it was, and it wasn't. Wow, it was crazy toes, right? How these people are dying. It's like, so yeah, it's like, all these sort of weird things like, oh, we've got to go to I know what will happen. Well, I can't give spoilers really, but let's just say there's an allergy and the guy says, oh, if we can break this curse if someone dies. So if we, if you eat peanuts and that, and then we can bring you back. And
Yeah. I can
all
imagine,
weird stuff happens in the hospital. It's really, really bloody and quite violent, and like, skin being pulled off and crushed by things. So
that is the main thing that stays with most people after Final Destinations is the deaths and how creative they are.
And I mean, I was really amazed. I went to see this with Happy John. I was really amazed how much I enjoyed this film. And the soundtrack as well, right? So there's like they have I'm trying to think now of some of the songs they put in there, but it was just real famous songs like there's like a barbecue scene with glasses going, and they sort of set you up so you know what's going to happen. There's like gas canisters and there's like hoses and rakes and spikes and glass and all sorts of stuff. And then it
whatever could happen here?
So at this barbecue, it's like, if you like pina coladas, and they're making like cocktails and stuff. And I was, how things happen in these movies, how things happen is just hilarious. Like it's like Mousetrap. It's like a game used to be called Mousetrap, where like something will fall over, knock something else, which will catch fire. The fire will spread to something which will blow everything
like
up, and then all these things will fly through the air.
Yeah,
and crush. People get crushed by. It was because I thought these were supposed to be serious. I thought these were supposed to be serious. I really did. I thought, this is going to be a horror one. So,
I think what they did with this is that, the first one, I think it came out in that era of Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and everybody was trying to come up with their own kind of like slasher movie where we kill a whole bunch of teens thing. And I think as Final Destination has gone along, it has been a franchise that some people come to because I think I can't remember who made it, but it was made because I think it was John Watts who did Spider-Man. I think because obviously he did the Spider-Man movies for Marvel, got a whole bunch of clout, and asked him what do you want to do next, and he was like, "Oh, I want to do Final Destination." It was either him or somebody else, but that's essentially why this film is getting made. And I feel like people have come back, and they've come back as fans, and they've come back knowing we know exactly what this is, and it is not supposed to be high art. Let's lean into the dumbness of it, and it sounds like
I would imagine this would be great to see what John said. This would have been good to see in quite a fairly packed cinema, busy
Yeah.
cinema with everybody
Yeah.
laughing. I could imagine that being quite, be more infectious. But yeah, I was laughing out loud. I was physically laughing. Have you ever seen any of these, Sharon?
I've seen the very first one when
Right,
it came out originally.
right.
So yeah, back in the day when it was a proper teen slasher thing, I saw it
Slasher.
then.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
think it was
ridiculous,
serious, but it's
ridiculous.
gradually become a parody of itself. Maybe
Yeah.
was that what you would say?
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think of some of the other songs that were in the show. Oh yeah, no, I can't forget the feeling of your
Nielsen.
faces, and it's all getting set up for the. And I thought, oh, this is good. I'm enjoying this. Yeah.
Well,
So,
the thing is, okay, but I was right. It was John Watts. It was John Watts
all right.
from of Spider-Man fame. But the thing is, this film had Sean is going to hate it written all over it. It had Sean is going to hate. So for you to come in having this sort of like a Boolean sort of like review of the film, it just makes me think, yeah, I think that they've done something good here. I think they've done something good
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's let's just say it's totally ridiculous. You know what I mean? You can spot things like let's just say the things that are in, let's just say leaf blowers, lawn mowers, electrical cables hanging, sharp things hanging on roofs, gargoyles, wind vanes, all sorts of great stuff. So yeah, it was really I've really enjoyed this more so because I was expecting it to be like, oh right, okay, this is going to be a slasher with lots of blood and that,
Yep,
and
yep, yep, yep.
total parody. Really, really fun.
All right, cool. So how many stars would you give Final Destination
Yeah, well,
Bloodlines?
I suppose I'd give this high three, high three. I think I enjoyed it. It was, it's well worth a watch. It's not like whoa, fascinating in your face, but it's an
Yeah.
enjoyable film and it's worth a watch. Whether as long as you can put up with blood and gore and stuff and funny things happening right at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, they got away with that. Oh, you know. So yeah. So you
Okay.
know what you're going to get, and it was good fun. So a 3 star for me for this one.
All right, cool. Sharon, don't say anything. Don't say anything. But with the one thing I have to say is I think this was the final film starring Tony Todd of
It
Candyman
did
phase.
say, actually, funny you should say that because
Yeah,
at the end it come up in memory of Tony Todd.
yeah, Tony
Can,
Todd.
can you enlighten me a little bit about Tony Todd?
Well, have you seen the Candyman movies? Like the original
Candyman.
ones in the 90s?
Oh, yeah,
He was
yeah.
Candyman.
Oh,
And he was
right,
in
okay.
Next
Who did
Generation
that
as well,
do?
so I
Oh, I
think
see
again
now.
the
So him, who
spin-off.
was in that film.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
did look, to be honest, when they did go to visit him, he didn't look.
Yeah,
He didn't
I'm
look.
looking like a picture of him in the film right now, and you can see that he's lost a lot of weight. His face
Yeah,
looks quite gaunt and
yeah,
everything. But I
yeah.
think
Comic
this
humanity.
that yeah, but I mean he was the one of the great film presences. Like a
Well,
great
definitely.
voice, great tall
Yeah,
as anything.
yeah.
Got a yeah, so yeah,
Well, he
so
is quite good in this. You don't know if it's menacing or advised, as an advisor, as
well,
menacing or what. It's just so well done
well,
that you don't know, is he trying to help or is he trying to scare him?
and that sounds like a brilliant use of Tony Todd because Tony Todd walks in and obviously you immediately going, oh my God, it's Candyman. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
we're gonna die. It's Candyman, help. And I mean, even because he was also in The Rock. He's one of Ed Harris's sort of like goons in The Rock. And
Right.
even when he shows up with that, I remember watching The Rock going, oh my God, it's Candyman, help.
We're all gonna die. Yeah, that's it.
Even after as goons in those sort of films, even after he dies, it's still like, oh my God, no, I'm sure he's around here somewhere. He never dies. He always comes back. He always comes back. So yeah, but it's and I think it's and I'm quite happy that he got like a final thing to go
Yeah,
off on because yeah,
yeah.
I think he is one of the great screen presence and he elevated a whole bunch of rubbish material. He
Oh,
he
Oh yeah.
really
yeah.
did.
Oh, I
All
agree.
right, cool. So Sean, seeing as you weren't around because we did Sharon reviewed something on Netflix earlier on.
Yeah.
Who do you think has won this week?
Oh,
She
I don't know. I'm
she
trying to look at Sharon now
Sharon
and trying to gauge.
Sharon
I reckon Sharon. What was the thing that Sharon reviewed? Tell
It
me
was
that.
called The Gardener or El Jardinero. It is a Spanish language crime thing on Netflix.
I think she liked this and gave it a 4. So I'm going to say Netflix has won. if we're just doing it on the
Okay,
one.
yeah, we only have one. We only have one thing in the cinema, so only one thing we'll bring it from Netflix this week. And oh, Sean, I mean, it was totally unfair, and it proved to be totally unfair. It is actually a tie.
Oh, it's a tie.
It's a
Right.
tie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if we were going to go into a nuanced thing, we would actually say cinema has won because yours was a high three,
High three.
High
yeah,
three. Right.
and
Okay.
and Sharon's was a middle of the road three.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
So yeah, so we'd actually go into that. And I think that's it for the show this week. There's just one more thing I want to say. Because we have a rule on this show where we say if you're going to review a TV show, you have to watch the whole season before you come in and start talking about it. Because we think it's rather unfair to bring a TV show up against hang on a second. Yeah, never mind. It was rather unfair to bring up a TV show against a just against something on TV. No, a TV show up against a film. So we say you have to watch the whole season. And the one problem is you have things like Black Mirror, where every episode is kind of like his own self-contained story. Similar thing with Doctor Who. Every
Mm.
episode is kind of his own self-contained story. And my sister-in-law, Adwa, sent me a message that she pointed out to me that a Doctor Who episode was about to be set in that Doctor
Cinema.
Who, yeah, no, was going to be set in Lagos in Nigeria.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean they are going to do the final of this season of Doctor Who in cinemas
wow.
after the next one, which is based around the Eurovision Song Contest essentially. But it's so the that it was going to be set in Lagos, Nigeria, and she said, "Oh, are you going to watch?" And anytime I hear of anything being set in Lagos that is not being made by Nigerians, I immediately sort of like get my rant. I get my rant ready.
Oh, oh.
I get my rant ready. I'm like, okay, cool. I can already tell you what I'm going to complain about the accents. I'm going to complain about it doesn't even look like Lagos. It doesn't even. And I have to say, this show started, and it was written by a guy called Inua Elams, who I saw on stage ages ago. We're probably talking like 15 years ago. I saw him on stage, and I know I keep getting emails from him of what he's doing next. Didn't realize he was doing this, and I'm actually quite happy
Wow.
to see that. Quite happy to see that he ended up got a chance to write this. And from the word go, they have it's all about stories and people telling stories. Sean, I actually think you like the episode. And
Right.
yeah,
Cool.
it's called The Story and the Engines. And or The Stories and the Engine. And it this guy starts talking and he's telling this story. And so I pretty much I'm not even looking at the screen, I have my ear to the speaker and I'm like, yeah, that's a good accent. Yeah, that's a Nigerian accent. Yeah, they got that right. That's good. That's Yoruba accent. And I think that they did it well, apart from some bits where there's some bits where the accents go off, and I'm like, hang on a second, why is the accent going off? That's very obviously going off. But the reason the accent goes off is I think it's explained within the story. So, Ajo, I know I promised you that I was going to rant about Doctor Who and about how people keep getting Lagos wrong, but I think I have to give Russell T Davis his flowers and say they did a lot of stuff to make sure that they got it right. They
Oh,
got a lot of details of the barbershop that they were in because the whole thing is set around the barbershop. And the bits where they're outside of the barbershop, they have done their very best to make Cardiff look like Lagos. So
wow.
So,
That's
so
good. That's
as
good.
much as you could possibly make Cardiff look like Lagos, they have managed it.
Oh,
And
good,
it's
good.
yeah, so I would say, yeah, really it's a good episode. And this is something that it's one of those things where you want to say but it's the kind of thing that can get some certain people up in arms because they're saying, "Oh, what are you trying to say?" Or everything like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's the first time I have seen a Doctor Who episode where pretty much, apart from Verada Sethu's character Belinda, everybody in it is black, and the one person in it who isn't black is Indian. So
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, as I was,
What
I was
as
like,
what? Oh, yeah. What as in South Asian Indian
yeah,
or
South
yeah?
Asian Indian. Yeah. So
Because
it's like
I still trouble is with that when people say Indians, I
you're
still
still
think
thinking
Native
Westerns in the
Americans. Yeah.
50s. Actually, yeah, so yeah, she's South, and the one person is South Asian Indian, and I'm like going, whoa, oh, okay, this is cool. And but the thing is, the way they haven't made a big deal about that. I think I'm making a bigger deal about it now than they do in the show, and
Right.
the way that it's done. And I just thought that was very, very good. So well done, Doctor Who. Keep it going. Well done, Russell T Davis. So until next time, where next week, when I think it's going to be Mission Impossible time and it's going to be the final reckoning, the final time that Tom Cruise is going to hang off something or jump on something or climb up something or run with his fingers up like all straight up
That's
and
yeah,
everything
super
like that.
speed. Yeah, like the Flash.
Super speed
Yeah.
with his fingers like that, cutting through the air because he runs quicker if he runs like that. It is a goodbye from me.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one thing if I can.
Yes, go ahead, Sean.
I'm off to Thailand on Sunday, so I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But I will try, and it'll probably be 1 o'clock in the morning, but I'll try and get, because I'll probably see Mission Impossible when I'm over there or something
Okay.
else. But I can't promise, but I will try, and it'll probably be on my phone, if anything.
Sean, if you can't do that, I mean, Will has shown you the way. Send in a voice note on your thoughts.
I will. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, that probably would be a better idea. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how we'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So until next week, goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye for me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sean, you need to learn how to say goodbye in Thai.